to heal. A recovery coach.
Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you
Welcome, everyone, to Time to Heal. My name is Pam Hemphill, and I'll be your host tonight. On this show, we bring you the dark side of addiction to a whole new light by promoting with you recovery solutions. Today, our discussion is going to be on the excuses we use to drink and use again. So today, I invited 3 guests who are in recovery. They're here to share their stories with you and how they, too, have used excuses to keep drinking and using in their lifetime, and what they're doing now in order to stay clean and sober. On my show today, I have Tracy, who was born with a physical handicap, but despite her physical problems, she's clean and sober over 22 months. Is that correct?
Correct, Pam.
And Monty, who is a recovering veteran with over 3 years sobriety. And Sean, who has just celebrated his 19th year of sobriety. Happy birthday, Sean.
Thank you, Pam.
First, I want to start off by sharing, when I first came into recovery, this person said to me, Pam, if you keep drinking and using, there's 3 things that could happen. You're going to die, go insane, or could go to prison. And if I was you, if there's a good reason to drink or use, why don't you give me a call? I'll go with you. And I thought to myself, that's strange. You're going to go with me? And I thought about it. What would be a good reason to drink or use? Actually, there isn't any. But to psychiatrists, to doctors, social workers, and family members, they don't understand us. They say, what is wrong with them? Why would they go back out and drink and use? They've lost their kids. They've been to prison. One guy I knew lost his leg and his eye, and he still went back out. But for us, it's not a mystery. We know why we drink and use. And in the recovery program, they share with us that we have to come to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. So what does that mean, restore us to sanity? And for our viewers, for those out there, what that means, and for myself, is those thoughts that happen right before I pick up that first drink. So what's going on in the mind of an alcoholic? So today I'd like for you, my guest, to share with me what was going on in your mind, and maybe a little bit of story of your drinking and using history. I'd like to start off with you, Monty. Are you an alcoholic or a drug addict? Or?
Well, thank you, Pam. Yes, I'm a recovered alcoholic with 3 years. I've been in and out of various 12-step programs, and being a veteran, and I would like to thank the veterans today. We're filming this on Armed Forces Day, and because of you veterans, you gave us the freedom to do what we're doing today. Being in and out of the service, it was very easy for me to be 3 months sober, because I'd go to sea for 3 months and I couldn't pick up a drink. But when I came back, I justified it by, well, I can be like one of the guys. One won't hurt, right? I'm not an alcoholic. I've had no drink for 3 months, so I can drink again. And I pick it up. And my disease, my alcoholism progresses. And each time it got worse, each time I went to a point that was what I call the darkness.
Monty, how old were you when you first started drinking?
My first drink I picked up was I was 15 years old.
15.
And but that was more of an experimentation. I was in high school. I was sort of a shy kid, so I didn't regularly pick it up. But coming from where I came from, when I came into the Navy, the drinking age where I was stationed was 18, and I found this magic.
And so did you experience blackouts? Did you get in trouble? Did you ever go to jail for drinking?
Yes, at 18, like I said, I picked up the drink. 22, I knew at that point I'd already crossed the line of alcoholism. I had blackout drunks. I was arrested for a DUI in a blackout on I-95 going from Connecticut to Boston, right? And that has progressed over the years until I
Did you ever think to yourself that, you know, that you could kill somebody while you were drinking and driving? Did that ever come to your mind?
No.
What?
No, it was the insane thoughts that I needed to get home, needed to be somewhere else, or I can handle my driving, or, you know, various numbers of justifications, but it was all selfish. I didn't look at the other person, the other family on the I-95 going home from whatever. No, it was just my selfishness.
And that's one of the character defects of us alcoholics and addicts. We're very self-centered.
Yes, sir.
Tracy, I see that you're laughing. Are you identifying with him?
Oh, very much. Pam.
Share with us
Very
a little bit
much.
of your story.
I started drinking. Well, the first time I drank at 12.
12 years old?
Correct.
Wow, that's
Pam.
young.
Yeah, that was my very first drunk, and I did get drunk. And you know, I do want to share that I believe that I was in a very alcoholic home. I grew up seeing you drink when you're happy, you drink when you're sad, you drink.
So you didn't have to have excuses in your family. It was just a way of life.
Correct, Pam. Correct. So when I drank at age 12 with a girlfriend, my mother had been out looking for me. And she got very angry at me, very angry, when she found out that I drank. And that confused me for many years.
They what?
That confused
They
me
confused you.
for many years because I mean, she drank.
Oh, your parents were always upset that you were leaving when you got drunk. It confused you why they were upset at you? Because
Correct.
they were drinking too.
Correct. My mother, that I didn't have a father at that time.
Now, can you tell our viewers a little bit about your medical condition? You have
Yes, I was born with a very slight case of cerebral palsy.
now you had this when you first started drinking when you were 12, right?
Yeah, I'd have
Do you
my.
think this is part of your reason that why you started? You wanted to feel better around people, or what?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that, Pam, because the first time that I drank, I noticed that it took the cerebral palsy away.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You mean the thoughts of having it, or the actual
Yes.
physical?
Well, it helped physically, because my
Physically, so you can
Yes.
talk better.
Yes, and
Oh.
my hand worked better.
Oh.
I mean, you know,
Just more relaxed all over.
correct, Pam.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so now you were raised with an alcoholic mother and father. You drank. Did you use drugs?
Mother.
Oh, I'm sorry, mother. And so, did you use drugs during your adolescence?
Interesting enough, I was sober at one time for 12 years.
For 12 years. What?
Yes.
How did you get sober? What happened there? Were you court ordered?
Yes and no. I put myself through treatment. I given up my first child, and I seen the pattern of my mother, and I put myself in treatment, and I actually had already been through 3 treatments by the time I was 22.
You mean 3 treatment centers?
Correct. And yes, at one time I was court ordered. I wound up with 2 hit and runs and 3 DUIs.
Do you remember what were your excuses for drinking and using at that time? And going back out? After you've done treatment, what did you say to yourself? I mean, you've been to treatment, you had all this knowledge. What was going on in your mind?
I believed with all that knowledge that I could succumb.
That you were different?
Correct. I really believe that with having all that knowledge of AA, that I wouldn't pass that line that I as an alcoholic have always passed. Always.
The insanity of that first drink.
Correct.
Whoa, it's,
Yes.
thank you, Tracy. I'm going to just go over here now to Sean for a moment. Sean, will you share with us a little bit? Did you identify with these two?
Oh,
And
yes.
The insanity of the first drink?
A lot, Pam. I came from an alcoholic home just like Tracy did, and both parents drank, and that was the only life we knew growing up. I started drinking when I was 12. I started sneaking alcohol out of my dad's bar in the back. We had a pool table and a bar in the back
You were
addition.
very young too, just like Tracy.
Yeah, and so that, it was out of control from the gate. I remember the first time I had a 12-pack with my friends, I was totally drunk, and I think I got sick like the second time, and we used to sit out in front of the grocery stores and try to get people to buy liquor for us, and so that it started out that way. And I started out drinking right out of the gate pretty hard. There was no like, maybe I'll have a couple, I've never really related to I'll have a couple,
Did you experiment with drugs?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did, Pam. The drugs, I went through a phase with drugs. It was kind of like almost like a like a sub way of getting messed up. But alcohol was my main source.
So what happened at 18?
At 18, by the time I was 18, I had 5 DUIs, 3 times by the same cop on the same corner in the same town.
You're serious?
No, really.
The same cop?
Yeah, the same police officer 5 times.
Why was he letting you get away with this? 5 times?
Yeah, and back then they smacked your hand
Back then,
basically.
What years are we talking about?
We're talking about right around 1982, I think is when they started happening.
Yeah.
And legally, they would just kind of slap your hand and send you down the road with a fine, and I've always told people that if I had the 5 DUIs today that I had back then, I'd be in prison probably.
Oh yeah, you would.
Yeah.
What would the judge say to you?
The judge told me that if I get a 6th one, I'm going to go to prison.
Okay.
So
Did that defer you? Did
no.
that say, whoa, I better stop drinking?
Not at all.
Not at all?
I ran away from home and joined the United States Army.
Oh,
and
there you go. That's a good idea. Let's
Yeah.
join the service. That would cure us.
Yeah, and that was 3 years of a drunk, basically. It got so bad I had ulcers, and I was drinking on top of that, and so I would have Maalox in the morning, eat breakfast, and then drink whiskey at night and
So
party.
what service did you join?
I was in the United States Army.
Was there any consequences during that time? Did you get in any trouble there?
Well, I got into a couple altercations. I had to go before the battery commander a couple times.
So alcohol was?
Yes,
causing you some problems?
yeah, they were always related.
And then what happened?
I got out of the military and continued drinking.
What were your excuses?
I don't know. I really never thought of any real. I had a lot of problems with my parents. I think I had a lot of pain around all that, and my grandmother passed away, and I stayed drunk behind that excuse for a long time. But I never dealt with it. I never grieved it, so I just hung on to the grief and continued to drink. It was kind of like I milked it.
Interesting story. So you spent, you told me earlier that you spent about 8 years going to meetings, getting sober, getting drunk, finally went to treatment, got into recovery.
Yeah,
Now you have 19 years. That's awesome.
it's a miracle.
Yeah. How do you do this?
One day at a time, and I
I just noticed that.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, Pam, I wear this just to remind me because I got a quick
What does
forgetter.
it say for the audience?
It says one day at a time, and
So when you start thinking ahead,
yes.
What do you do? Go boom, boom?
Well, yeah, that's what they say to do.
you don't stick it around your...
No. But no, Pam, I think it's a good reminder, and
Yes,
one of the
absolutely.
things is too to be patient with progress. I think it took a long time for me to get messed up emotionally. We talk about emotional recovery. I think it takes a time to heal from all that.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Years for some of us. But it does get better.
Yeah.
Monty, you identify with Sean. Tell us a little bit about your recovery. What motivated you to get into recovery? What happened?
All right. Thank you, Pam. him being Army, I'm being Navy. Well, we won't talk about the football game. But my story's similar to Sean's. When I got in the Navy, like I said, started picking up the drink at 18. By the age of 22, I was a full-blown alcoholic. I didn't want to admit it. And of
Well,
course,
how
I
often
was-
were you drinking, Monty? Full blown, what does that mean? Drinking every day?
Well, when I was in port, yes, it was every day. It was every day going to the enlisted men's club, or buying some beer at the commissary, or that. Yeah, it was every day. Of course, if I had school or something, right, priorities early on were to get through school. I remember my first time I got in trouble, the Navy's idea was, okay, you need some awareness training. So I went to this Navy Alcohol Action Safety Program thing, right? And I completed it, but my disease told me, well, you know, I'll be at this place again. It already had told me that. So part of my denial was to become a counselor for that. So I went through their facilitators.
Really?
To hide my disease. So I have that in the record. He's a full-fledged facilitator that can teach the sailors how not to get in trouble while drinking.
How to not get in trouble while drinking.
Basically, that was what that
Just stay
program
home
was.
all day, I guess, and
Right.
lock yourself in the closet.
Say no, just say no to drugs. We have zero tolerance.
That doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't drink and drive. Right.
We know
and I was
that.
still doing that. I had in my career, I've had at least 8 convicted DUIs. Right. So the denial there. I was in 2 outpatient treatments while in the service, then a 6-week inpatient at the Charleston Naval Station, right? There, after that, I had enough sobriety to allow them to let me stay in. I retired from the Navy. I stayed sober about a year. A geographical cure came. The Navy sent me to Bangor. The idea that I could drink like somebody else, like my friends and stuff, overpowered me, and I was off and running again.
So we've heard about your drinking. I want to share with us the recovery. What are you doing now in recovery to not have these excuses to go back out?
Well, there had to come a point that I have to change. I was just tired. I was tired, and I had to find something greater than me, because I knew in the bottom of my heart I could not stop on the way.
So you knew that you could come up with excuses, and there was going to always be something that you could say, oh, I could drink, I could use again. And you turned yourself over to a power greater than yourself. So today, Monty, what do you do to not take that first drink? Today, what are you doing?
Today, I pray in the morning. I have somebody greater than me, which I call God. I pray, I turn my life over to Him. I meditate, and I say I'm going to start my day with a smile, and I am going to do the right thing, just for today.
And Tracy, what are you, similar? You have
Yes,
the same type of...
Pam. It's funny. When I got up this morning, I couldn't find the remote to my TV, and I thought I had dropped it, and it was under my bed. So I had to get down on my knees, right? And it's like 6:20, and I normally don't check in that early, and I just started laughing, and I thought, okay, my Creator, sometimes I have a hard time with the word God. I even sometimes refer to her or him as Josepi. It's kind of my thing,
Yeah, in the program they say, be your own understanding.
Correct.
And what you call it
Correct.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
A good orderly direction group of drunks. I've heard that before.
Correct.
So you got on your
Yes.
knees and prayed.
Yeah, and I'm laughing with, me, my reader, I'm laughing, and I say, hey, I'm already down here, so keep me clean and sober today. Please.
Wonderful.
Keep me. And thank you.
Monty, I don't want to forget. What are those little bracelets you have on your arm? What is
Well, the blue one, it's in Veterans Homeless. I'm a vet, and I do a lot of work with the vets. And the other thing, and it's so true, I've got better things to do than drugs.
Oh, I like that one.
I've got a better life. I've got a better relationship with my family. I have better friends. Yes, I do have better things to do than drugs and alcohol.
You sure do. There's too much to do nowadays. I'm so busy. They said, are you going to be bored? I thought I'd be bored not drinking. Now I don't know. I'm too busy. Sean, do you want to share with our viewers what recovery's been like for you? And what are the tools that you're using to stay sober? And
Well,
if you hear
Pam,
yourself coming up with an excuse to drink and use, what would you do?
Pam, I just basically, I think the thing for me is the experience of being sober one day at a time, as long as I've been sober, is I feel like every excuse that I might have come up or could have come up with has been removed as I've stayed sober. I mean, I went through a marriage and a divorce. I lost a friend that had 12 years in the program who went back out. My sponsor passed away. One of my second sponsor passed away when I had 3.5 years of sobriety. I had another friend that went out when I was 6 months sober that started slamming heroin again, and he was pretty solid in the program. So, I mean, what I get out of the whole process is that it's unconditional recovery. That means good or bad, we stay sober one day at a time. And life is full of pain, you know, at times. In one of our 12-step books that we read, there's a part in there about that is life. You know, things happen in life, and we're never really prepared for them, but we have this all-powerful, loving Father that will guide us and help us work through these issues. And when we get into these valleys, He'll lift us back up if we're just patient with ourselves in our own growth process. And that's one of the things that I've really hung on to, you know. And it's amazing when you've weathered some storms, you're able to share and give back to other people that may be going through those same things, Pam. You know, and they need to know, the newcomers and the people that are new in this process need to know that there's a way out and that they can stay sober regardless of anyone or anything.
Thank you so much, Sean. That is so true.
Yeah.
One day at a time. We need to wind up our show today, but before we go, is there anything any of you would like to just share quickly with our audience before we...
Pam, yeah, I mentioned that during my drinking career, I had given up my firstborn.
You've given up your firstborn?
Yes, and because of my sobriety, I have him in my life today.
You have him back in your life.
Correct.
Oh.
With two beautiful granddaughters to
Oh, that's
boot.
wonderful. See the gifts of recovery.
Correct.
Oh. Monty, something you'd like to say to our viewers quickly before we...
Real quick, change your thinking, change your life.
Ooh.
That's a good one, but it's not always that easy to do, you know.
That's why I have a higher power.
Exactly. Well, it's time to go, folks. First, I want to thank our guests for being here. You're truly miracles and truly a gift to the community. Bless you all. And I want to thank our viewers for watching our show today. And a special thanks to our friend Monty Meyer of Take 12 Recovery Radio in Albany, Oregon, for all his support. If you've enjoyed our show and you would like to keep it going, please send your donations to TVCTV here in Boise, Idaho, care of Time to Heal. Also, if you or someone you love has an addiction problem, please feel free to call us at STEPS 208-340-3274. Please be sure to join our group, Time to Heal, on Facebook, or watch our shows on YouTube. And now, our final word to our viewers. Don't give
Give
up.
up. Your miracle is on the way.
You've been watching